Have you ever felt like something invisible is holding you back, preventing you from being who you could truly be? Like a voice inside sabotaging every step you take? Today we're going to talk about how to break free from these chains, develop discipline, and turn challenges into strength. But first, I want you to write in the comments, "Today, I take one more step to be my best version." Have you ever felt trapped in a tiring routine with no way out? And thought, "There's no way, this is just how it is"? But the truth is, it's not life that holds you back. It's the chains you've created yourself. So, how much longer will you accept this? This video will teach you how to start over from scratch, leaving behind everything that paralyzes you. We'll use Stoic principles that have stood the test of time because they work. There are 12 lessons to break free from the past and focus on what truly matters. You. Step 1. Admit that something isn't right. Sometimes we ignore signs that something isn't right in our lives. Like a leak in the ceiling that we cover with paint instead of fixing. It weakens the structure, but we continue on as if everything is fine. In life, if we ignore feelings and problems, we just make things worse. Acknowledging that something isn't right isn't weakness. It's the first step toward change. As the philosopher Epictetus taught us, we have control over our emotions. Ignoring these feelings only prolongs suffering. Maria's story illustrates this. She had a stable job but felt unhappy. For years, she ignored that dissatisfaction until she realized she needed to make a change. She discovered her passion for cooking and transformed her life. Similarly, it's important to recognize what isn't working in your life, whether in your job, relationships, or leisure activities. By identifying these areas, you begin the process of transformation. Admitting that something isn't right strengthens you because it's the only way to start rebuilding. Step 2. Break the chains. Free yourself from what holds you back. Have you ever felt stuck in a familiar but unsatisfying situation? That's what happens with limiting habits, which we get used to even though we know they don't do us any good. It's the comfort zone, where we prefer to stay, even when change is necessary for our growth. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our thoughts shape our actions. If we're stuck in excuses or fears, the chains become stronger. Often these chains disguise themselves as seemingly harmless distractions, like spending hours on social media with no purpose. They keep us stagnant. Imagine your life as a garden, where the weeds represent these habits. Identify what's holding you back, whether it's procrastination or the constant need for approval from others. By naming the problem, you can start to change. It doesn't take a revolution, just small actions, like dedicating 10 minutes daily to something that brings you closer to your goals. Remember, breaking the chains won't bring instant perfection, but it will lead you to a life that's more true and aligned with what really matters. The chains don't define who you are, and you have the power to break free from them. Leave what holds you back behind. For a long time, I lived trapped by expectations and responsibilities that weren't mine. Family commitments, plans with friends, work obligations. I tried to please everyone, but it drained me and left me feeling empty. The turning point came when I asked myself, am I living my life or just trying to please others? That's when I decided to change. I let go of what wasn't mine and started focusing on what truly mattered. Although I lost a few people along the way, I asked myself if they really had my best interests at heart, or if they were just there out of convenience. Letting go of what held me back was the best decision I made. Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it's necessary, suffers more than necessary." I carried problems that weren't mine, like an unnecessary weight. Seneca teaches us to let go of what doesn't contribute to our growth. When we do this, we make room for what truly matters. Living to please others can take a toll on your mental health. Studies show that people who always prioritize others are more likely to suffer from anxiety, chronic stress, and even depression. The fear of saying no and letting go of what holds you back causes a lot of suffering. You can't ignore that. Step 3. Free yourself from the expectations of others. Free yourself from the expectations of others and find your space. Often, we maintain relationships or make decisions based on the fear of disappointing others. Saying yes when we really want to say no can be a trap, distancing us from our true well-being. To break free, practice saying no clearly and without excuses, especially in small matters. By setting boundaries, like refusing to help when you also need time for yourself, you prioritize your own well-being. Remember, freeing yourself isn't giving up. It's making space for what truly matters. Step 4. Move away from the noise and find inner peace. The chaos around us, constant notifications, social media, and news interferes with our mental peace. This distraction takes us away from who we truly are. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic philosopher, advocated retreating inward. Psychologist Gabriella Paoli also emphasizes that disconnecting from the digital world can reduce stress and improve well-being. By doing so, you create space for clarity and connection with yourself. To achieve this peace, create a noise diet, where you set times to connect with the digital world and disconnect when necessary. Set aside moments to breathe, reflect, and listen to yourself without the pressure of the outside world. In just 5 minutes of daily silence, you can start to feel the benefits of this pause. Create your own space for reflection. We all need a space to disconnect and reconnect with what matters. Virginia Woolf talked about the need for a room of one's own, a place for peace and introspection. You don't need a large physical space for this. It can be a simple corner dedicated to your well-being. This time of silence and reflection is essential to organize your thoughts and align your priorities. With this refuge, your mind clears, and you feel more connected to your purpose. Move forward, step by step. When we try to make drastic changes all at once, we often end up frustrated and with little progress. Life requires patience and consistency. Seneca, a Stoic thinker, said, "No wind is favorable for one who doesn't know where they're going." The same applies to our goals. Instead of trying to achieve everything at once, take small steps, adjusting your course gradually. Persistence in small daily actions is what truly leads to lasting transformation. Celebrate each small step, no matter how small, because they make a difference in your growth. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to the change you desire. Set your next goal and take the first step today, not in a rush, but with intention. The time to start is now. Step 4. Discomfort. Have you ever gone through a moment where everything inside you just wanted to quit? That feeling of discomfort that makes you doubt, as if it would be better to just let it go? These difficult moments are the key to real change. In fact, it's in the uncomfortable journey between fear and overcoming that you discover your true potential. Discomfort is always present, whether in your daily routine, tough decisions, or new experiences. No matter how hard you try to avoid it, it will be there. So, what do you do when it appears? The choice is yours. Do you ignore it, or do you use it as a chance to grow? Take the story of Paula Antonini, a Brazilian model who lost a leg in an accident. Instead of giving in to frustration, she used adversity to become an inspiration to many. Her story shows that limits can be the gateway to new opportunities. Now, imagine you have to speak in public. Your heart races, your hands sweat. Instead of running away from it, view it as a chance to evolve. Discomfort can be your ally. Here's a tip: 1-minute challenge. When asked to speak, tell yourself, "I just need to talk for 1 minute." Focus on that. Once you get through the first minute, the discomfort fades, and you continue without even realizing it. Treat discomfort like a trainer that challenges you to go beyond your limits. By changing the way you view it, you turn this discomfort into a positive force. True strength comes when we face challenges, not when we run from them. Discomfort is the fire that shapes steel, pushing you out of your comfort zone and leading you to incredible places. Every discomfort is an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Are you ready to embrace discomfort and begin your transformation? This is your moment. Seize it. Step 5. Strengthen your discipline. Discipline isn't an exclusive talent. It's the result of consistency. Many people believe motivation is necessary to act, but in reality, action generates motivation. True discipline doesn't depend on how you feel, but on your ability to act, even when you don't feel like it. Marcus Aurelius said, "Starting is half the work. Keep going, and you'll finish." The secret is to take the first step, even if it's small, and keep going with consistency, without waiting for motivation. David Goggins, the marathon runner, has become a symbol of discipline. He inspires not just athletes, but anyone who wants to transform their life. True discipline is the ability to act before obstacles show up, being your own hero. If you want to start cooking more at home, you don't need to be a chef, but setting small, simple goals, like cooking twice a week, could be a good start. By eliminating excuses and acting even when you don't feel like it, you build self-confidence, which leads to great results over time. Have you ever wondered why you do what you do? Most people follow a routine without reflecting on their purpose. Marcus Aurelius knew that purpose comes from silence and inner reflection, away from external distractions. To discover your purpose, ask yourself what you enjoy doing and what you'd do with pleasure, even if you weren't paid. Purpose shouldn't overwhelm you, but fill you. It's unique to each person and should be something that not only impacts you but also benefits others. Once identified, write down small actions you can take to move closer to that purpose. Additionally, it's important to celebrate the small steps. Often we focus so much on the future that we forget to appreciate the present. As Seneca said, happiness is in living the now, without depending on what's to come. Arthur Brooks, a Harvard professor, pointed out that true happiness doesn't come from quick pleasures, but from satisfaction and meaning. Valuing small moments and recognizing every progress is essential to staying motivated. Rebuilding your relationship with yourself is crucial. By taking care of yourself, you start with small actions, like giving yourself a compliment or setting aside time to meditate. These small efforts, while seemingly simple, are essential for transformation. Acknowledging these victories, whether by creating a victory box or writing a positive message to yourself, helps reinforce progress. Pain, although difficult to face, can be an ally. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The obstacle is the way." By confronting pain and using it as strength, you transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Musicians like Nick Cave, who faced personal tragedies, show how pain can be a creative and transformative fuel. In summary, discipline, reflection on purpose, recognition of small victories, and the ability to transform pain are key elements for personal evolution. Every step, no matter how small, prepares you for change. Are you ready to begin? Step 6. Let your change shine. Have you ever thought the Stoics sought recognition? Of course not. They didn't seek applause. Their actions spoke for themselves. Imagine Marcus Aurelius boasting about his resilience. It would be strange, right? They knew that true transformation doesn't need to be announced. It is felt and reflected in actions. You can do the same. Let your transformation speak for you. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Success doesn't need to shout to be recognized. As you transform, some people may try to downplay your progress, but that's irrelevant. Your change is yours, not theirs. Stay firm, for while you move forward, others are left behind. Today, we live in a world where social media gives us a momentary sense of validation. However, this distracts you and pulls you away from what truly matters. You. The focus should be on your transformation, not on seeking external recognition. Remember, the change you're creating is yours. If you keep cultivating healthy habits, your progress will be evident, without needing announcements. This process is for you. It's a gift you're building. Every habit and advancement is part of this new life. Trust in what you're doing. You're preparing for something great. You don't need to announce anything. Let the change speak for itself. By focusing on action, the results will become visible, effortlessly. Do this for you. Disappear from the noise and let your actions speak. I invite you to disconnect from the external noise and reconnect with what truly matters. Each step in your transformation is an opportunity to discover who you are and what you want to create. Remember, this process is powerful, and it's where real changes happen, bringing out your best version. Step 7. Restart your life. Now, if confidence has been lost, imagine yourself in the middle of chaos with problems piling up. Others lose control, but you remain calm, focused, not because stress doesn't exist, but because you've learned to master it. This is the difference between those who break under difficulty and those who turn it into an opportunity for success. History is full of leaders, entrepreneurs, and thinkers who found great strength in calm. From Marcus Aurelius to modern-day entrepreneurs, Stoicism has been a philosophy that changes how we face challenges, turning obstacles into growth opportunities. What if I told you that you can develop this mindset too? In this video, you will understand that calm, far from being a passive reaction, is a powerful strategy that can help you achieve your goals with clarity and determination. Before moving forward, I invite you to take the first step towards your transformation. Write in the comments. Today, I take another step towards my best version. Calm, strong, and stoic. This simple gesture can mark your commitment to change and to the philosophy that has helped great leaders achieve success. Don't underestimate the power of a decision. Let's get started. First, calm comes from a conscious effort. The mind is like a wild horse. If not controlled, it can drag you into fear, anxiety, and frustration. But just as a rider can tame a horse, you can also control your thoughts. Calm is not something that appears automatically when everything is going well. It is the result of consistent practice, a daily decision not to be a slave to circumstances and fleeting emotions. Calm is not weakness, it is strength. It is the ability to observe the world without being affected by it. When the mind is dominated by fear, stress, or anger, what really happens is a loss of control. Not because situations are too complicated, but because we haven't been trained to face them rationally. Most people react automatically to life without reflecting on their own thoughts. When something goes wrong, they worry. If someone disrespects them, they get angry. If they face a challenge, they get frustrated. These reactions come from an uncontrolled mind. The Stoics understood that the key is not to change the world, but to train the mind not to be carried away by it. Fear and anxiety arise from a mind that lives in the past or future, trapped in unproductive thoughts. But calm can only exist in the now. Marcus Aurelius said that most of our suffering is caused by the mind, not reality. We think about what might go wrong, what others said, what we can't control, and in doing so, we move away from the only place where calm is possible, the present. You cannot feel anxiety if you are fully focused on what is in front of you. You cannot feel overwhelmed if you choose to focus only on the next step. Calm comes from the conscious effort of bringing the mind back to the present moment, repeatedly, until it becomes natural. When we apply this effort, something changes within us. We stop being victims of our emotions. We don't react to everything. We learn to pause before responding, to observe before acting. Anger diminishes, stress lightens, and problems seem smaller. Not because life became easier, but because we've learned to stay calm amidst difficulties. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to us, but how we respond to it that matters. If we control our interpretation, we control our response, and if we control our response, we control our life." But calm is not something you achieve once and never lose. It is a constant practice. It requires attention, discipline, and the will to choose reason over emotion, the present over distraction. Whenever you feel anxiety, anger, or fear, stop and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or taking me away from peace? Am I reacting impulsively or with clarity? Each time you choose calm, you strengthen your mind. Each time you control your thoughts, you grow stronger. Calm is not indifference or passivity. It is acting with awareness, responding with intelligence, and deciding from serenity, not impulsiveness. It is not a rare gift. It is a skill anyone can learn with practice. And when you master it, you realize life is not about controlling the world, but mastering your inner world. Whoever controls the mind, controls the destiny. Second, conscious breathing is an anchor for calm. Breathing is one of the most powerful tools to find peace amid chaos. It's simple, always available, and doesn't require anything external. However, we breathe automatically, without noticing the impact it has on our mind and body. When stress and anxiety take over, our breath becomes shallow and quick, which increases mental agitation. But when we focus on our breath, inhaling deeply and calmly, something shifts. We reconnect with the body and the present, with the only moment that truly matters, now. Stoicism teaches us that mind control starts with body control, and breathing is the bridge between the two. When we're tense or emotional, we tend to speed up our breathing. But if instead we pause and breathe deeply and with control, we send a message to our body. Everything is okay. There's no real danger. We can respond with calm, not impulsively. Conscious breathing reminds us that we have the power to choose how to face each situation. In Stoicism, the discipline of perception is key. That is, what disturbs us is not what happens, but how we interpret it. When we breathe consciously, we give ourselves a literal and figurative break from our worries. Instead of being dominated by negative thoughts or the rush of life, we anchor our attention to the rhythm of our own existence. Each breath is a reminder that we are in the now. Each inhale is a chance to release what we cannot control. When facing a challenge, our minds tend to think about the past or the future. We worry about what happened or what might happen. But conscious breathing brings us back to the present. By breathing deeply, we pause the noise and regain clarity. A Stoic knows that calm doesn't come from outside, but from within, and breathing is the key to accessing that inner serenity. Practicing conscious breathing is not difficult, but it requires intention. Simply stop for a moment, breathe deeply, hold the breath for a few seconds, and exhale slowly. Repeating this a few times can completely change our mental state. We become clearer, more present, and more in control of ourselves. We don't have to wait for life to give us a break. We can take it at any moment. With every breath, the benefits are immediate. Controlled breathing reduces stress, relaxes the muscles, and improves brain oxygenation. This helps us think better and act wisely, rather than react impulsively. The external situation may be chaotic, but if we can keep our breath calm, our minds will remain calm as well. In everyday life, we can apply this principle whenever needed, before responding to an irritating message, before making an important decision, or when facing a difficult conversation. A simple deep breath can make the difference between an impulsive reaction and a serene, controlled response. Like a Stoic, conscious breathing is like an anchor, reminding us that true power lies in how we choose to handle life. Physical exercise is essential for mental health and clarity. It strengthens the mind, increasing resistance to stress and improving circulation, which benefits the brain. Regular movement oxygenates the brain, enhancing agility and efficiency while reducing anxiety. Physical exercise helps the brain work better, strengthening memory, concentration, and resistance to cognitive decline. It also develops self-discipline, which reflects in other areas of life, teaching us to face discomfort with patience and focus. In addition to exercise, proper rest is crucial for the mind's functioning. Sleep is not a luxury, but a necessity for brain recovery. Sleep deprivation affects memory, concentration, and emotional control, making us more reactive and impulsive. Good sleep improves mental clarity, helping us make more assertive decisions and reducing mental fatigue. Quality sleep also helps us handle stress better, making us more prepared to face daily challenges. The environment we live in also directly impacts our mental state. Creating a calm and organized space is essential for maintaining serenity and strengthening emotional well-being. With small adjustments in the environment, such as reducing clutter or creating a space for meditation, it's possible to cultivate a sanctuary of peace. Calm is not something we find. It is something we intentionally build, and the right environment facilitates this process. What we consume also directly affects our mind and body. The Stoics advocated for moderation and self-control, recognizing that our eating habits can influence our emotional state. Excessive stimulants or processed foods can impair mental clarity and cause emotional instability. Choosing healthy foods and maintaining nutritional balance are practices that help maintain focus and serenity. Awareness of the impact food has on our mental state enables healthier decisions, contributing to a calmer and more balanced mind. In summary, the body and mind are interconnected, and maintaining balance in both is essential for a fulfilling life. Physical exercise, adequate rest, an organized environment, and conscious food choices are fundamental practices for strengthening the mind, improving focus, and increasing stress resistance. Adopting a disciplined and balanced approach is the key to achieving mental clarity and tranquility, following the Stoic principles of self-control, moderation, and reflection. Step 8. The power of laughter to calm the mind. Laughter goes beyond an emotional reaction. It is a powerful tool to relieve and restore mental balance. For the Stoics, suffering is not caused by events themselves, but by the way we interpret them. Epictetus taught that it is not the events themselves that affect us, but our perception of them. By finding humor in a difficult situation, we lessen the emotional weight and gain distance from the problem. Laughter is not an escape, but a strategy to maintain control of the mind. When we feel tense or anxious, the body activates the fight or flight response, speeding up breathing and contracting muscles. If we don't release this tension, it accumulates, affecting our ability to focus and make decisions. Marcus Aurelius said that the mind adapts and transforms any challenge in its favor. Laughter is this adaptation, reminding us that life goes on and that we can view difficulties in a lighter way. The mental flexibility that humor brings makes us stronger in the face of adversity. Laughing at our own mistakes or complicated situations helps reduce the impact of stress. The Stoics practiced emotional detachment, not to become cold, but to avoid being controlled by emotions. Laughter is a form of detachment, allowing us to see things with distance, without overreacting. Science confirms the benefits of laughter. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for relaxation, releases endorphins, decreases cortisol, and improves blood circulation, providing immediate relief. It's a natural reset for the mind. Cicero said that life is like a show. What matters is not its duration, but how we live it. Part of living well is learning not to take everything too seriously. A person who lives in constant worry accumulates physical and mental tension. If they don't find a way to release it, their health will suffer. Incorporating humor into daily life brings balance. Laughter breaks the stress cycle. Laughter provides a necessary pause for both the mind and body. A simple shift in perspective, a smile or a joke, can transform the way we approach the day. Laughter also strengthens bonds between people. Sharing moments of humor creates connection, dissolves tension, and improves relationships. In difficult moments, a smile can change the atmosphere. The Stoics knew that serenity doesn't come from avoiding problems, but from learning to face them with balance. Laughter is one of the most effective ways to restore this stability. If you feel that anxiety is taking over your mind, try to include laughter in your daily life. It's not about forcing happiness, but creating space for moments of lightness. It could be watching something funny, recalling a humorous story, or simply smiling at a worry. Often, when we look back, we see that what troubled us wasn't that important. Laughter gives us this perspective. In the present, calm doesn't always come from seriousness, but from a moment of lightness. Don't underestimate the power of laughter as a tool for maintaining balance. If you can laugh in the middle of chaos, it means the chaos doesn't have control over you, and that is great strength. Laughter is more than resilience. It's proof that despite everything, you still choose to enjoy life. Step 9. Identifying and dealing with emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are automatic responses that arise without us realizing it. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but the way we interpret them. Epictetus said that we are not affected by situations, but by how we perceive them. Anything, like a word or a glance, can be a trigger if it's associated with past negative experiences. If we're not careful, we react uncontrollably, driven by intense emotions that seem inevitable. For example, a situation that reminds us of a past negative experience can trigger reactions like anger or anxiety. This happens when a memory from the past activates an emotional response. Marcus Aurelius taught that the mind has the power to reinterpret any experience. Seeking internal serenity makes us immune to these external disturbances. By identifying our emotional triggers, we can avoid automatic reactions and regain control of our emotions. Once we recognize a trigger, we can pause, reflect, and choose the best response. The practice of self-control, advocated by the Stoics, doesn't mean eliminating emotions, but knowing how to manage them. When we recognize our triggers, we can respond with wisdom, not impulsively. True freedom, as Epictetus taught, lies in controlling the mind, not external circumstances. By practicing this, we become less affected by criticism or provocation and can live with more peace and clarity. The past, when not overcome, can become an anchor that prevents us from moving forward. Epictetus believed that true happiness comes from not worrying about what we cannot control. If we focus on what has already passed, we are reliving old wounds and patterns, not realizing that the only thing we can change is our way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that happiness depends on the quality of our thoughts. By focusing on what we can do in the present, we open new possibilities and free ourselves from the limitations of the past. The key is not to ignore what happened, but to learn not to let the past define our lives. Cicero said that future suffering is unnecessary, as the present is already enough. By stopping the feeding of negative thoughts about what went wrong, we start focusing on what we can improve and achieve. Change begins when we decide to change our way of thinking and acting. Letting the past go isn't about forgetting, but about no longer holding on to something that no longer serves us. It's about learning from it and using it to grow, without carrying the weight of past frustrations. This gives us the freedom to live more fully in the present and future, with a more focused and balanced mind. The anxiety and sadness caused by negative memories diminish when we realize that what truly matters is what we can do now. The obsession with control is one of the main sources of anxiety. Epictetus said that happiness and freedom come from understanding that some things are under our control and others are not. We waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable, such as the opinions of others or the future, which causes frustration and emotional exhaustion. True peace lies in accepting that we can't control everything, but we can control how we react. Marcus Aurelius pointed out that it's not external situations that disturb us, but the judgments we make about them. Excessive control creates tension and anxiety, as every unexpected event becomes a threat, and other people's opinions affect us more than they should. The solution, then, is to accept adversities with wisdom and invest our energy in what we can truly change: our thoughts, decisions, and actions. We can choose how to respond to situations, and by doing so, we free ourselves from the weight of trying to control the uncontrollable. The secret is to stop worrying about what's beyond your control and focus on what you can manage. When you let go of what you can't change, you experience a sense of freedom. You stop carrying the burden of wanting everything to be perfect and learn to live with uncertainty, which is a natural part of life. As Cicero said, "Nature has not given us a strong body or an immortal spirit, but the ability to endure." This endurance comes from learning to accept what cannot be changed, without wasting energy trying to change what is beyond you. Calm comes from understanding that not everything depends on you. This means stopping the fight against reality and learning to work with it. Instead of worrying about the future, you use that time to prepare. Instead of holding on to what you can't control, you focus on improving your life. Instead of reacting with frustration to the unexpected, you ask yourself, "What can I do with this?" The mindset shifts when you see uncertainty not as a problem, but as an opportunity. True power doesn't lie in controlling everything around you, but in controlling how you react to what happens. Once you understand this, you become lighter and more focused on what truly matters. Calm doesn't come when everything is perfect, but when you accept that not everything can be controlled. Negative emotions are inevitable, like anger, frustration, and disappointment. The important thing is what you do with these emotions. As Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can choose how we react to them." Instead of acting impulsively, the Stoics taught us to use these emotions productively. Imagine a man who has a tough day at work. His boss criticizes him, a project fails, and he feels like he has no control over anything. His initial reaction would be to argue or vent his frustration, but instead he decides to channel that energy productively. He goes for a run to release the tension, writes down ideas to improve the project, and invests his time in something that strengthens him. Anger and frustration, if directed well, can turn into energy for creativity and action, rather than leading to conflicts and impulsive decisions. Marcus Aurelius used his journal to process his thoughts and emotions without letting them dominate his mind. By turning a negative emotion into a positive action, you train your mind not to be enslaved by impulses. If frustration takes over, use that energy for physical exercise. If anger consumes you, use it as discipline to focus on what matters. If disappointment arises, use it as motivation to learn, rather than wallowing in it. Cicero said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as exercise strengthens the body." The secret is not to avoid emotions, but to use them as tools for growth. By channeling your emotions into something constructive, you avoid impulsive reactions that can lead to regret. Calm doesn't mean repressing your feelings, but learning to direct them so they don't sabotage you. Instead of seeing anger as an enemy, use it as fuel to move forward. Negative emotions are not bad. They are signals. Frustration may show that something needs to change. Anger may alert you that something important needs to be addressed. Sadness may be an opportunity to reflect and adjust your path. But if you simply let them take over without directing them, they become obstacles. Your success and tranquility depend on how you manage your internal energy. You don't need to be in a constant state of calm, but you need to control how you use your energy. Don't let anger lead you to destructive reactions, and don't allow frustration to paralyze you. Don't waste your emotional strength on unnecessary complaints and arguments. Transform what you feel into something useful and propel yourself toward what truly matters. When you learn to channel your emotions, calm becomes a natural consequence. Not because you stop feeling, but because you learn to transform what you feel into something that strengthens instead of weakening you. When your mind is racing, anxiety grows and you lose control. Stress doesn't come from the outside world, but from the way you interpret events. As Epictetus said, "What happens doesn't affect us, but how we interpret what happens does." When thoughts are running wild, the mind enters a reactive state. Small setbacks seem like big problems. A delay turns into frustration, an innocent comment becomes an attack, and any uncertainty becomes a threat. This creates a vicious cycle. Fast thinking fuels anxiety, which in turn speeds up thoughts. Marcus Aurelius practiced introspection to avoid falling into emotional passivity. He wrote every day, reflecting on his own thoughts and training his mind not to be dragged by emotional inertia. Changing the pace of thinking doesn't mean thinking less, but thinking better. It means giving yourself time to evaluate a situation before acting, since not everything requires an immediate response. Hurry is the enemy of clear judgment. As Cicero said, haste is the enemy of good judgment. When you stop to think before acting, you often realize that the solution is simpler than it seemed. Otherwise, haste can turn a small problem into something bigger. By slowing down your mind, you begin to notice thought patterns that keep you anxious. This also helps you process your emotions before reacting, instead of acting automatically. Modern society pushes us to speed, social media, news, and constant notifications. The pressure to act quickly is always present, creating a sense of urgency. However, it's important not to give in to the pressure of the moment. You don't need to respond to everything immediately. Taking time to breathe and reflect before acting can lead to clearer and more effective decisions. By slowing down your thoughts, you avoid mental overload and don't get carried away by pressure. When something demands attention, you handle it with clarity. When an emotion arises, you recognize it, but you don't let it dictate your reaction. Thinking more slowly doesn't mean being less efficient, but being more precise. Sometimes, a simple pause can prevent unnecessary arguments or future regrets. Patience is intelligence in action. By training your mind to slow down, anxiety decreases, calm increases, and clarity sets in. The mind will no longer be overloaded with uncontrolled impulses. Calm isn't a goal, but a habit you develop through practice. The world tries to control the pace of our minds, but you can choose to think clearly. When you can control your thoughts, you control your life, and serenity becomes a natural state. Step 10. Detachment. A transformative mindset. Detachment doesn't mean not caring about anything or being indifferent, but learning to observe your emotions without letting them dominate you. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you that disturbs you, but your opinion of it." When you become overly attached to an emotion or outcome, you become a prisoner of them. If something doesn't go as expected, you get frustrated. If someone doesn't react as you wanted, you get upset. If the future is uncertain, anxiety takes over. Practicing detachment allows you to see situations from a broader perspective and make better decisions. For example, in a job interview or a tough conversation, anxiety can dominate your thoughts. By remembering that the outcome is not entirely in your hands and that what you can control is your attitude, the tension lessens. You begin to trust your own effort more than external validation. Detachment also helps you respond more thoughtfully in difficult situations. Instead of reacting impulsively to an offense, you take a moment to reflect. This prevents you from wasting energy on things that don't matter. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be offended and you won't be." When you don't cling to negative emotions, you stop being vulnerable to life's ups and downs. Detachment doesn't mean suppressing feelings, but not letting them dominate you. A Stoic is not someone without feelings, but someone who feels deeply, yet isn't carried away by those feelings. Cicero said, "The wise man doesn't let suffering carry him away, but uses it." Every emotion has a purpose, but it must be managed with wisdom. Detachment brings freedom. You don't need everything to go your way to have peace. By letting go of expectations and not attaching yourself to what you can't control, you find serenity. When you see your emotions as temporary visitors, rather than masters of your fate, you find true calm. Peace doesn't come from a perfect world, but from a free mind. Step 11. Gratitude, changing perspective. Gratitude is a powerful tool for transforming how you experience life. It's not just about being grateful for the good things, but about seeing value even in difficult situations. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will flow with serenity." Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring problems, but learning to see the lessons they bring. When you face failure or rejection, your first reaction might be frustration or discouragement. However, if you pause and reflect on what the situation is teaching you, your perspective shifts. What seemed like an obstacle could be an opportunity for growth. What seemed like a loss could be a path toward a new direction. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal about the importance of accepting the present moment as it is, because in doing so, we find true freedom. Gratitude isn't about settling or passively accepting everything, but about recognizing that even in difficult situations, there's something to learn. Life doesn't always give us what we want, but it gives us what we need to grow. A rejection may push us to improve, a mistake shows us where we need to change, and a loss teaches us to value what we have. When you learn to be grateful even in difficulties, nothing can bring you down. By training your mind to see the positive side of situations, you develop resilience. You don't get carried away by negativity because you understand that everything has a purpose. Seneca said, "A good character is formed with few blows from fate, a great character with many. Every challenge we overcome strengthens our mind and spirit. But if we focus only on the negative, we miss the opportunity to evolve." Gratitude activates a positive mindset, helping you look beyond problems and focus on what you can learn from the experience. When we practice gratitude daily, we start focusing on what we have, rather than what's missing. It's not about forcing a positive attitude all the time, but about learning to see life from a broader perspective. Peace arises when you stop resisting what already is and start appreciating the moment. This doesn't mean not striving to improve, but accepting what happens as part of the process. When you focus on what you can control and are grateful for the opportunities to learn, stress decreases and inner peace grows. Gratitude is a habit, not an automatic reaction. You can train your mind to find something good, even in difficulties. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me? How can I use it to grow? When you begin to see life this way, you realize there's always something to be grateful for, no matter what happens. This prevents anxiety and fear from taking control over you. It's not necessary for everything to be perfect to find peace. All it takes is a change in how you interpret what's going on. Gratitude gives you this ability. It transforms every experience into a learning opportunity. The difference between a life full of complaints and a life of growth lies in how you choose to see what happens. When you adopt this perspective, you realize that happiness isn't in what you possess or achieve, but in how you choose to live each day. Step 12. The power of social connection for mental well-being. Connecting with others is essential for maintaining a balanced mind. Even mentally strong people can feel the weight of loneliness. Epictetus said, "The worry is not in real problems, but in imagined anxieties about them." When you isolate yourself, your mind tends to amplify problems, creating a stress cycle that could be broken with a simple conversation or a moment with someone you trust. Stress and mental pressure may lead you to believe you need to solve everything on your own. But humans weren't meant to live in isolation. Science has shown that social interactions activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps calm the body and mind. A hug, a sincere conversation, or simply being with someone who listens can reduce stress and calm your mind. Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "If you wake up with the idea that you were born to help others, everything will make sense." When you feel isolated, stress intensifies. The lack of social connections can make you feel like there's no one to share your thoughts with, and your mind ends up exaggerating worries. Healthy relationships not only offer emotional support, but also bring new perspectives. Talking to someone you trust helps you see problems in a different way, reducing the mental burden and allowing you to find solutions more easily. The Stoics understood the importance of community. They didn't seek total isolation, but rather a balance between introspection and social interaction. Seneca said, "There is no pleasure in owning something without someone to share it with." Happiness and mental well-being are stronger when we share moments with others. It's not about being surrounded by many people, but about cultivating genuine relationships that truly contribute to your well-being. Good relationships have a profound impact on your emotional stability. You don't need grand gestures or deep conversations all the time. Sometimes, a simple coffee with a friend or a quick chat with a family member can shift your mental state. Small daily moments help improve your well-being, reduce anxiety, and promote calm. If you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, have I been isolating myself? Have I been taking care of my relationships? The answer isn't always found in excessive introspection, but rather in connecting with others. The key is in quality, not quantity. You don't need to have many meetings, but rather nurture relationships that truly bring balance to your life. When you maintain good connections, stress loses its power, not because problems disappear, but because you face them with a stronger, more balanced mind. Emotions regulate naturally when you have a support circle. This doesn't mean completely depending on others, but recognizing that well-being is not a solitary process. Success, both in personal and professional life, is linked to the quality of the relationships you build. Mental stability doesn't come from isolation, but from knowing when to ask for help and when to offer support to others. True strength lies in understanding that sharing difficulties makes the journey lighter. Marcus Aurelius knew that every interaction is an opportunity to grow and improve character. Maintaining meaningful relationships is an effective way to reduce stress, improve resilience, and stay calm in difficult times. Human connection reminds us that we are not alone, and life is clearer when shared. A peaceful mind is not one that isolates, but one that finds balance between reflecting and connecting with others. I hope this message was helpful. Congratulations on making it this far and watching the video. It shows you're committed to personal growth. If you like this, leave a comment. If you're unsure what to write, just put growth, and I'll know you watched until the end. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now and join us. Stoicism has valuable teachings for our everyday lives. Don't stop learning about this philosophy. Here are 2 more videos for you to continue learning. See you next time.